like a technology studio, and it's formed with Eduard technology and metropolis. That's my office. And what is interesting to me to ask you about, and before I ask about your work, is how does technology change the city? I mean, we know very well how it changes our life with education, but how does it change urban landscape? I mean, in general, technology that we do have already.
Yes, it's interesting. I've founded this, it's a think tank, Technopolitan Studio, and now over 7 or 8 years ago, this was directly linked to my degree of Master of Urban Planning, specialized in the emerging role of new technologies in the city. So that was, that was before the iPhone. That was a long time ago. That's prehistory. And but at that time, we realized that these new technologies, these emerging communication technologies, would have an impact in the city. The way people work, the way people live, the way people travel. I can give you a very simple example. For example, the way we work is changing completely from a fixed location, an office. Now we are more and more mobile. And thus in the city are emerging spaces called co-working spaces. Now, this is something that emerged 10 years ago, but as the city it's a slow process, so things are starting, emerging here and there, and then it takes a couple of years to emerge. And then now you see those spaces, those new type of offices opening around the world. So that's an example of how new technologies are changing the way we work and thus have an effect on the city later on.
And they will believe as well, but is there a dark side of this process? I mean, on the one hand, it's great you can communicate through Facebook and through iPhone, but on the other hand, sometimes it's better to just see people meeting each other outside instead of meeting each other.
Yeah, but then you realize that that's very true, and that you realize that new technologies, rather than isolating people, have the effect on, if you look at the bigger picture, to actually improve the number of meetings and in real life, it's not something completely separated.
So you mean that there are more people in the cafes when you have Facebook?
Then you are more, it's a question of information, it's a question of the informed citizen. So the more you have, more access you have for information, the more access you have from recommendations from the friends, the more things you see, the more you're encouraged to explore the city.
Okay, then I'll ask a question about you personally and Technopolis Studio and the urban plans you're working in. As far as I understand, you're working a lot on connecting new technology to the urban plans. Is this true?
Yes, I mean
what are the perspectives?
Yeah, I mean the Technopolitan Studio is a think tank. On the other side of my daily work, I'm an urban planner, urban designer, and I work on large-scale projects. And obviously, what we are researching takes time to take form in reality in our project. I think for me, it's more an approach of the city, trying to redefine the way we're doing cities.
Yes, but still, will you give some example of how this think tank results, how you use that in projects?
Yes, sure, I can give you an example. For example, we were working on a project in Korea, South Korea, where the project was about creating a park. And around this park, this public space, you had a lot of research and development companies. So rather than doing a normal park, we said, okay, let's try to have this, because I spoke about co-working space at the beginning, so I'm trying to reuse this example. We created in the park spaces for those people during the lunchtime, for meetings, spaces they could rent and book. So that was an idea to utilize this trend in this particular design project.
Okay, sorry, I will be very fast as we're short of time, everyone's waiting. You're working both in the east and in the west. I mean, you're from France, and you have a lot of experience in Europe, and you're working a lot in the east. And in general, how would you know the difference between eastern urbanism and western urbanism? I mean, if you had to make something like that. 3-minute article on this?
This is a very difficult question to ask me. The beauty of this job is that every project is different, even between Moscow and St. Petersburg, it's completely different. And I would say it's not so much a question of like different types of urbanism. You have different types of processes on how to process those projects. This is depending on local regulations and those kind of details, but overall you have to adapt to the project, and therefore there are as much difference as from Moscow and St. Petersburg than from Moscow and, let's say, Dubai almost.
Yeah, but I mean, there is very different between, let's say, Paris and Dubai, and then very different from the way people are thinking of the city. What is it? How would you...
It depends. The projects are very different in nature. Obviously, in the emerging countries where growth rates are important, then it's all about creating square meters because that's the growth, that's the demand. In Moscow, in Russia in general, there's not so much of this population growth, and therefore the projects are very different. It's about post-industrial projects. So it's more about the nature of the project is different. That's because the demand is different.
We're talking about Russia anyway, and Russia is, I would say, maybe, as I see it from the inside, it's a very special place in the realm of architecture and urbanism. It was closed for many, many years, and now it's getting more and more open, and urban schools are opening, urban forums and discussions. And a lot of architects are coming to Russia, and Focus is coming to Russia, and Eduard is very proud to have a lot of projects from here. But what's special about it, and what is this interest actually about? Or is it just, or architects coming here just like in China?
I think, yes, I mean, of course, there's this idea that there are a lot of opportunities in Russia. It's a big territory and there's a lot to do. But also, it's a result of certain numbers of initiatives that are promoting urban issues, and that's something which is, for me, very exciting, and you cannot find in other countries, to be honest. I think there's a very particular interest developing in Russia. The reason, I don't know. I think it's a question of those initiatives popping out and motivated people that are really driving forward these issues.
So what's your personal interest in Russia?
I'm personally very interested for a number of reasons. First, because I've been coming here for the last 5 or 6 years, and now I'm starting to know people a bit more.
How are they to you?
They're very nice, and they're very nice people. So for me, it's a very personal reasons.
Okay. And you were teaching in Strelka, as far as I understand it, and now you come into the Eco-Design Ecosystem School, if I'm not pronouncing it right. And you see how the schools are functioning, and what should be the direction you review, what should be the next step?
Yeah, I think there's different ways of teaching urbanism. Some are more research-based and theory, that's perhaps more what Strelka is. There are other initiatives that are more towards design, that's perfectly fine. And I think the more this balance between theory and practice, that's for me is where it's very interesting.
And how does that do? How it should be changing, or you think it's just okay?
I think, I mean, I'm not a specialist of Russian schools. I know Strelka because I'm teaching there. But what I can see is that these emerging schools are teaching more practice and more design, which is really good. Because you can be stuck in books and stuck in theory, and what's important is to be out there to do projects. So that's for me what's the most exciting.
I'll ask a question, and I'm giving you to the audience who's waiting there. I'm really sorry, I was hoping it would be at least half an hour, but that's what we get. What is the perfect way of teaching an architecture and urbanism? What is the most important things to teaching this person?
I think it's about being open-minded, not having preconceived ideas, and also having these relationships with all those different professions, because what is very specific to urbanism is that you're in contact with a lot of different professions, from technical professions, from sociologists, from cultural planners, and all those kind of professions. So the more students are interacting with those kind of professions and fields, the better. And that's what is really interesting for me in terms
So
of
you
teaching.
think that there should be interaction as well in the course of education?
Exactly, and with other disciplines, and so because that's very much the nature of urbanism. It's you are the conductor, and you have a lot of different people that is working towards the same projects, but you being open-minded is the key here.
And communication.
And communication.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Good luck with your lecture.
Thank you.